Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, lover. How are you?
I'm worn out from a spin.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yes.
I can barely hold this mug of coffee. Jerica, what were you doing? It was crazy town. Went really fast, but I feel like this mug must weigh 55 pounds. So
I think
I guess
Jerica-
thanks.
I think Jerica might also train Navy SEALs.
Well, I think Jerica might also be about 22.
There's that.
So, I try not to use that as an excuse, like, oh, I'm much older than the spin instructor, but holy buckets. It's a tough morning. Otherwise, I'm good. I just have to put in a plug, like I'm doing a commercial. So, my hair has been a problem for me of late.
Has it really?
I know. I've kept it to myself. I'm very quiet and demure about things that I'm self-conscious about. But I ordered this product called Prose, which I found somewhere in the world because even social media is clearly tracking all our conversations. Look how great my hair looks today. I guess real shampoo and a little makeup does make a difference. Okay.
That's just me. You look fantastic.
On to the topic at hand. We were probably biking the other day, and I asked Dr. Mary if he knew why he stayed in our marriage when things were bad. Because I know why I stayed, and we're going to talk about why I stayed on Monday, but I was curious to know if he did, and he said yes, immediately. And I don't know what his answer is going to be. We didn't discuss it. I just asked him if he would like to make it a topic, which he said yes to, obviously. So I just want to start by saying that this was kind of prompted by someone who wrote to me, and I've referenced this a little bit in a previous discussion, someone who wrote to me and said that she's staying with her husband despite some problems that they're having, and that a lot of people in her life think she's making a mistake. You never know what's going on inside someone else's marriage, inside someone else's home. You just don't know. You only know what's going on inside yours. So I'm curious to know that's the germ of this conversation. So I'm curious to know, Dr. Mary, our marriage was not great for a long time.
No, it wasn't.
So we've been together almost 19 years. We've been married 12 and a half-ish years. It's been incredible for 3.5 years. But it was probably not great to bad for 5 or 6 before that. I can't quite remember when it really started to devolve, but I would say pretty bad for probably 5 or 6 years before 2017. So why did you stay?
Why did I stay?
You said you knew.
I did. I'm trying to put it in order so it actually makes some form of sense. Mostly, I think, because I knew I was not at my best. I think I was in complete denial that it was probably the amount I was drinking. And then we talked yesterday, it was being resigned to it. I didn't know what else to do. And now we've been listening to some podcasts from ex-addicts, and one of them was talking about the fact that she used to be a teacher and she kicked her job. She was kicking when she did her job, and I think that's what I was doing. I was trying to keep two things going. One was my job, and despite how much I'd actually been drinking, I managed to get to I never drank at work. I went to work, I did my job.
You never missed work.
Never missed work.
Never.
And I still got great student evaluations. And then there were moments. There were like a day or even a weekend where we, in my mind, seemed to have fun. Mm-hmm. I had zero interest in doing any DIY projects. In fact, I forgot all about them, and this is one of the things I talked about before. When you get that addiction arc, you rewrite your frontal cortex and your interests go out the window. So I used to like doing DIY. Well, actually, when I got sober, Dana had to remind me I actually could do it, because the first thing she said, let's try this. I thought, I can't do that. How the hell can I do that? And she goes, well, you could. take a breath and think about it. And that goes back to one of the reasons why I stayed, because you were kind of still my rock. And I loved the fact that we were married, because I was actually, I know you could never tell, but I was in love with you. Still am. But you did pay a price. Absolutely, you paid a price. But I think that's in a nutshell. I mean, there's lots of other things. I could give you loads of examples, but that was it. I knew it was bad. I was kind of not myself. I knew I wasn't myself, but I didn't know what to do about it. But then it was work, and then coming home, and then every night I came home, I tried to say, right, today I'll try and make a smile. But I never did, because you were at work doing your thing, and you were. Because sometimes I was at work going, yeah, I'm done, and go home, and you were probably at work going, oh good, now I can go home. I wonder what he's going to be like when I get home. And I'm totally unfair. I'm glad you stuck with it. I'm looking forward. I think I've got a few ideas why when I hear this on Monday. I'm not going to ask you over the weekend to keep the spoiler. But that was it. I knew it was bad, but I thought we could keep going completely unfairly. Especially to you, but that's why I didn't. I'm not sure if I thought maybe if I start listening, you could help. I don't know, but I just wanted to keep that part of our life going. I'm not doing too bad at work. We have good days. Maybe we can keep going that way. I knew I didn't want to be alone, and I knew I didn't want to lose you. But I also never. It took me a long time in AA to realise that you're your own worst enemy. Mm-hmm. The reason why it's not working is you. But if you get criticised for it, you get depressed, and therefore you think, "What do they know?" And then you think, "Oh," and then the next thing you know, you're taking the edge off by having another drink. And that was kind of our loop. It was bad, but not having that would be worse. And I wanted to stay because I didn't want to lose you. And I didn't even twig what, when it got, the last couple of years when it got quite bad, at least Quinn was in college by then, so he mercifully missed out on that bit.
Yeah. But
yeah, I think that in a nutshell, that was it. I thought we could survive. But I didn't. It never dawned on me that I'd have to do something, and I think that's true with a lot of people. Well, he won't listen. I was afraid to listen. I know that with hindsight. They always say it's 2020. Perfect when you think about it later. It's like when you try and think, I should have said that would have been hilarious. Which is probably the difference between you and, say, a world-renowned comic who can say the right thing or do the right thing, or you always want to be the person who does the right thing. But if you don't have to be an addict to never do the right thing, but it's certainly tougher to want to do the right thing when your entire brain biochemistry kind of part of it is given up. And I think I kind of gave up on everything else apart from hanging on. A lot of people do go through life hanging on, and that's kind of what we were doing. But I wanted, and I guess it was kind of selfish. I didn't want to lose you. I wanted to keep what we had, but what we had was quite appalling. But it was my doing, and that's one of the weird things. I understand that, and thankfully, we're still here.
Yeah, that's really lovely. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Some of these are hard. Hard in good ways.
In fact, here's a. I want to give you an example of how you can. Hopefully, you'll find this funny as I did when Dana said, "Wow, that's so convoluted." The person I heard this from, I can't remember her name again, and I explained.
Names are not your strength.
They're not. I explained to her today. That's right. Yeah. I explained it to Dana as. Your man from Scrubs, Zach Shepard.
Zach Braff.
Zach Braff. He has it's his blog that we listen to, right?
No, it's Dax Shepard.
See
Yes,
what I mean?
armchair expert.
Which are great. But he had this woman on who was talking about her life, and her life as an alcoholic, and then she found out she was more interested in members of her same per se sex.
Oh, we're back to Glennon Doyle.
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't know her name, and I thought this woman's great, and then I could only explain her as that she's the wife of
Yes.
of the captain of the American US football team.
Right.
And Dana told me that she, in her own right, was actually quite renowned for being an inspirational speaker, and I just knew her as the wife of the captain of the American female football.
Is there a
soccer
point
team.
to this?
No, that was just explaining where I got that from.
Oh my gosh.
So what my point was that you can find little nuggets of information if you're willing to open up your mind and listen, and that's
a good point.
That's what stops you. As an addict, I didn't listen. You tried. You used to come down and stand in front of the TV and get me to listen to you.
Wow.
And most of the time, I was trying to do some work to keep my job going, but everything else was just disintegrating around me, and I didn't really know.
Yeah. So thanks for sharing that. So I'm gonna make a sort of vulnerable move here. And I'm going to ask you, if you're watching these, if you're paying attention to them, if you've come across them, these little snippets that we're doing, these daily shorts, you definitely know somebody who needs to hear this content. I'm not telling you every second of every video is mind-blowing, but I'm telling you that there's something, I think, from each of them. I think there's some piece of each one of them that has significance of some sort. Whether you're an addict, whether you're partnered with an addict, whether you're just moving through life, I think there is something going on. How many marriages are resigned to just existing, and it has nothing to do with addiction? Many. Because it's easy to stop paying attention to your significant other. It's easy to start taking each other for granted. Yeah. You don't need to be an addict to have found something in what Maz talked about today. And I don't think you need to be married to an addict to find something in what I'm going to talk about on Monday. So my request of you is, if this content is resonating with you at all, will you do two things for me? One, will you sign up and get the newsletter? So you can send a note to Dana, Dayna, at extraordinary.com. Yes, it's the longest email ever. I'm sorry. And you just send me an email and I'll know that you want to be added to the newsletter. All of these are compiled every week and they go out on Saturdays to everybody who's on the newsletter. You could share them that way, or if you want to rewatch them or whatever. That way you don't have to scroll through Facebook to find them again. But maybe even, more importantly, is will you share these with someone who you think needs to hear them? They're pretty non-judgmental. They're pretty digestible bites. I think that if I had gotten this information from another couple doing this, I told you the other day, in some ways it might have made me feel worse, because I would have thought, oh my gosh, they figured out how to get to the other side, and I don't think we ever will. But I also think that it would have been something for me to hold on to. I felt like I was being thrown about in the middle of a terrible storm, and I could never grab onto anything to feel grounded, to just feel like I could take a minute and catch my breath. Everything was out of control. So if you know someone, will you please share this content and invite them to start paying attention to it too? Invite them to sign up for the newsletter. Those kinds of things. We really want to be in service to people, and we can't do that if we don't grow. So that's my plug for the day. Thanks for sharing why you stayed. I'm sure glad you did.
Oh, me too.
We'll see you Monday at 8:30. I'll tell you why I stayed. Have a great weekend.
See you later.